All right, Eel Nerds, episode 143 on the nose of the election. And oh, by the way, I just bought my first tech stock after a very, very long time. We'll talk about both of those. We are up to 391 subscribers. I am honored. Thank you for your following. If you're new to the show, I suggest that you look at the income investing roadmap that organizes it from a beginner level to today. Most importantly, please remember that I have no magical powers. I am explaining my education and my strategy. Remember to use your own thought and judgment. Well, as usual, we have four topics. The first is to look at the market temperature as America goes to vote. I cast my vote. I hope you did too. And then we'll look at how I'm positioning my portfolio. And I'll tell you all about my first tech stock and then my trades for last week and next steps. I call my portfolio the no drama portfolio. The short term benchmark goes up and down. This is a pure bond benchmark, and my no drama portfolio beats that one as well. It obviously beats the Russell by a mile because the Russell has had a lot of problems lately. And oh, by the way, the NASDAQ is plunging in the last week. I hope you're doing okay. Well, what does it mean, and why do I have that kind of swimming against the current type performance? I'll explain why. And as I go to vote with a basket of eggs and some vegetables and a fighter jet and a school bus, that's why I am here, and that is why my portfolio behaves differently. Before I explain more, I want to make sure I make it very clear that this is not investment advice or tax advice. I am not a wealth management advisor. I don't do product and politics, and I have no hats or merchandise to pitch to you. My portfolio has grown significantly in the holdings of equities, except it started from minuscule and it's now little. So about 2.8-ish% of my allocation is to equities, and that means where is the rest of it and why does it grow the way it grows? Surprise, surprise, 84% of my holdings are in treasuries and roughly 10% is an investment grade corporate. I really don't do any crazy high risk bonds. I don't do ETFs. I own individual stocks for a very small allocation and treasuries and investment grade corporate for the other. And in duration, I again kind of do something somewhat unique. I below BBB credit rating. That's like the risky area. I have next to nothing. Most of my holdings are actually in short-term treasuries. That's why Schwab counts it as cash. It's not even counted for credit rating. It's cold hard cash. And all of my holdings, these are agency bonds. So pretty much I stay in the very high quality credit and very short duration. Speaking of duration, 75% of my portfolio will mature in the next 90 days. As a matter of fact, 55% matures the day after the election. That is the way I think. Every book you read talks about not timing the market. It's not that I'm trying to time the market, but I have my own jitters about the election. As for how I vote and how I think, I am now going to review my first tech filter. And as you may remember, I've been a very, very solid value investor. And my first tech filter is trying to ferret out domestic companies in tech only that are heavily owned by institutions. Now, why is that important? It means that you're not going to have something where only 20% is owned by institutions and the rest are owned by management, and that doesn't give a good spread. I also look for very high volume, significant revenue growth, and this is in the last year, very high revenue growth consistently over the last 3 years, very little debt, strong profit, 25% or more profit, and I kind of want to see what that brings in tech. And surprise, surprise, it brings two companies, Palo Alto Networks and Agilysys. Agilysys, frankly, is the better of the two deals here. It's cheaper, it makes more profit, except it serves the hospitality industry. You do you. I'm at the moment not feeling really hot about the hospitality industry. So I'm going to stick with Palo Alto Networks, and here is how that has performed. Very strong performance over the last 3 years. Their revenue only knows one way to go. Their cash flow only goes one way, and there is a one-time exception when they sold off some assets. But outside of that, it is smooth sailing. What I love is their margins. It costs them 4 cents on the dollar to sell their product. That is just incredible. And their subscription model costs them 20 cents on the dollar. So overall, I like this for a small holding. They are in the business of preventing cyber attacks. And I'm not very high on the day after the election, if you can't tell by now. So I am putting a lot of my money on defensive allocation. What do I mean by that? On fixed income, I buy things even when they mature. I buy them right after the election, a week after the election, one day after the election, and so on. And as for my equity trades, I barely touched my portfolio last week. I did sell Rocket Lab for a very nice profit. Thank you, Rocket Lab. And I bought Palo Alto Networks. So here is where my equity holdings are. I still hold, the reconstruction basket, if you will. So that is lime to build roads, trucking for Saya. Saya crushed their earnings estimates. Thank you, Saya, for doing that. Tow trucks, mechanical and electrical repair, landfills, and school buses. And so a very kind of climate disaster recovery type allocation. I do own two food stocks, Calmain Foods, which is the gift that keeps on giving, and Costco, which hasn't had a fun last few months. And outside of that, two home building stocks. It appears to me that no matter how the election goes, we're going to have to invest a lot in building homes, decreasing interest rates, and so on. And last but not the least, on the national security side, I am investing in a couple of war-related companies. And so that is where my equities are. I hope you think twice, three times, and invest carefully. This is a short and sweet Yield Nerd episode, and the next time we talk, the day after the election will have passed. Let's see how it goes for the market, and here is Palo Alto Networks. Thank you for watching Yield Nerd. Go vote and have a wonderful election week.